There's so much we have done in terms of improving and advancing the protection of rights of everyone.
Navi Pillay is proud of her work at the helm of the UN's Human Rights Office for more than the last half-decade, but tells me she wasn't expecting to be working right up until her last days in office. Testament to violent tragedies in many parts of the world that continue to undermine progress on universal human rights.
Why I feel a sense of despair is, for the first time, there are so many countries, almost 12 or 13 right now, where violent conflict is raging and the rule of law is no longer respected.
You've identified countries placing national interests above the collective good. That has prevented, as you've said, the saving of hundreds of thousands of lives in war zones around the world. Given the extent of the lives lost in these conflicts, has the time not long passed for the UN to publicly call out certain countries in the Security Council for their roles in allowing these conflicts to fester?
I do believe so. I've had the opportunity to address both the General Assembly and Security Council. It was all the member states who have given me this mandate. I expect that they will take the information we place before them seriously. They have the power to act on it. I don't. And I do believe that it is time for there to be a change from doing things in the old way, old business, as it were, and to be much more assertive in calling up states who are violating human rights or helping states who are being overrun by very powerful, well-armed armed groups and rebel groups.
What are your views on the reform of the Security Council, specifically calls for the elimination of the veto?
Well, I personally have problems with the few states having the veto and acting out their political agenda in exercising that veto. And I also support many voices in the UN General Assembly that have called for reform of the Security Council. It's a rather undemocratic institution. It was created under very unique conditions after the World War, where the big powers then gave themselves this power.
But she admits that decisions of the Council are more complex than the veto, as the Libyan example would testify to. A country today ravaged by violent internal battles, where no vetoes were used to block council action against the Gaddafi government in 2011.
We could get greater help if there was a focus on human rights and a human rights-based approach. What my office is saying is you have to look at human rights violations. They are alerts to a situation deteriorating into a conflict situation and a threat to international peace.
She lamented the slow pace of justice for the escalating atrocities around the world and had some words of caution to political leaders clinging to power beyond their initial mandates.
Africa will never change if individual leaders hang on to power for so long. Why are African governments so afraid of criticism? See, it's intrinsic to democracy that civil society should be able to voice their opinions, that journalists must function freely and embark on investigations. We have to have accountability from governments.
As we all know, you've been quite critical of certain countries, many in this job, and I've personally witnessed some of the pushback from being called a lunatic to an agent of Western countries. How have you dealt on a personal level with the criticism that has been directed at yourself and your office at large?
Firstly, let me say the greater number are very complimentary, supportive. People are very moved when you've addressed their issues. So that sustains me, but mainly it's that we hold the moral high ground. We know we are right in condemning violations.
Pillay says she's been working for 50 years and is looking forward to a retirement back in her hometown of Durban, but says she felt cheated when, in 1995, former President Nelson Mandela nominated her to serve as a judge on the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, beginning an almost 20-year stint on the international stage, also as a judge on the ICC, and then as High Commissioner.
Throughout apartheid, we never had opportunities to be judges or to play a role in our new democracy. So when the country changed, I wanted to play a role there in whatever capacity, mainly as a judge. That's what I mean. So I didn't enjoy the benefits of democracy in my own country because I was serving outside. And now I will go back, and of course, in an informal capacity, I will continue to watch out for the protection of human rights in South Africa and in the rest of the world.
At 72, an illustrious career, where if history teaches us anything, retirement often means very little in practice. Sherwin, Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.